In this forecast, a blast of colder weather will impact millions and may bring some snow flurries. And we are closely monitoring a tropical wave that will enter the Caribbean Sea soon. Where will it go? All of that and more is coming right up. Before we talk about the cold blast and the tropics, let's first begin with the remnants of Ian, which no longer exists as a hurricane, a tropical storm, or anything, but it is still bringing some coastal flooding and even some extreme rainfall to areas in the mid-Atlantic regions and areas in southern New England, and it's going to continue over the next 24 hours. The potential for coastal flooding does really exist anywhere from Delaware back down through even areas in Virginia and through the Chesapeake Bay, but eventually going to tomorrow, we'll start to see the system slowly shift off to the east, with rainfall potentially still existing in areas like southern New England and also back through the east coast. And then eventually by Thursday, this system will finally go out to sea and we'll no longer have to talk about Ian, but there is still some impacts ongoing there for some along the coastline. Also, we have a big cold blast coming, and obviously I'm saying it's a big one. We're not talking about sub-zero temperatures, but we are talking about a fairly substantial early fall cold blast that we could see going into Thursday and Friday, which seems very likely. So here's kind of the timeline. Here's a look at your pocket of cold air. There'll be a cold front that drops down out of Canada going into Thursday. This is an area that we'll have to watch for very closely. This will be the strongest and really the coldest air that we'll probably see going to late Thursday and Friday, and eventually going to Friday and Saturday. That cold air moves through areas in the Midwest, even the Ohio Valley. It could even drop as far south as areas into like Oklahoma and Kansas. Now, there will be a potential for some flurries and maybe even a little bit of snow for some, and even that actually could include areas like Nebraska. So I'll give you an update on that here in just a second. But the current forecasted temperatures for Friday across the Midwest, most areas will be in the mid to upper 40s, low to mid 50s. So it's kind of on a little bit of a typical end, but obviously a little bit below average for these areas. But what's even crazier is that we could see areas in the Midwest drop into the 20s and even 30s for low temperatures heading into Saturday morning. Now, this will not be at record low territory most likely, but some areas may get kind of close to that, maybe within about 5 to 6 degrees of maybe some record lows in a couple of areas. Also, the wind chills, it's going to feel very chilly out there Saturday morning. You will want to bundle up at least for Saturday morning. Temperatures in the afternoon will get into the mid 50s, but obviously you can see the feel like temperatures. Areas like Green Bay, 27 degrees for feel like temperature. Eau Claire as well, 27, and Milwaukee also 33 degrees. So it's going to be pretty chilly out there. Now, for those that are wondering, will I see some snow? Well, most areas probably will stay bone dry with really nothing other than maybe a couple of isolated sprinkles, but going to maybe late Wednesday into Thursday, we very well may see a little bit of snowfall back up in Canada, but then going into the overnight hours on Friday, there may be a few flurries, and that could also include areas in northern Michigan at the bottom right of your screen, also through areas like upper Michigan Peninsula. So these areas may see a few flurries, but again, no accumulations currently forecasted. Now, I do want to point out Nebraska real quick before we go into the tropics, because this area could actually see some snow heading into Friday morning, and I'm not talking about big accumulations by any means, but again, the Weather Prediction Center has outlined this area for maybe some mixed precipitation heading into Friday morning. That's because the temperatures will drop, especially in northern Wisconsin near Sioux City through Sioux Falls. Those areas will drop down into the upper 30s and low 40s for temperatures. So we may see a little bit of mixed precipitation in those areas. All right, let's hop into the tropics. We have two areas to talk about, one in the Caribbean Sea, or going towards the Caribbean Sea. We also have one out in the eastern Atlantic Ocean. Well, one has a chance of developing over the next couple of days, actually. This one may develop into a tropical storm as early as actually tomorrow. As of now, though, it's not forecasted to impact the United States. Most computer models are bringing it kind of in this direction, so it looks like it's going towards maybe the United States, but then it kind of takes a boomerang turn after a while because of the Bermuda High. So obviously that's not forecasted to impact us by any means, but the other system in the western Atlantic Ocean is actually about to enter into the Caribbean Sea. This currently has about a 40% chance of developing and may actually develop as it heads into areas closer to Central America. Now, the current forecasted track we'll get to in a second, but this is a look at the infrared imagery, and it's actually becoming a lot of convections really developing with this system. Now, the big thing about this is as it continues to track out to the west, it is likely going to run into some shear in the Lesser Antilles and as well as the Eastern Caribbean Sea. So there is some good news that this will at least run into shear, but beyond there, where is this going to head? Well, most of the ensembles from the GFS model are currently at least indicating that we'll see this probably go towards Central America. Now, really from there, there, does it actually turn back into the Gulf of Mexico? There is a very low possibility that that does happen. So we are going to be watching the system very closely, but that's obviously right now over 200 hours out. So we really can't give too much of an estimate there. Luckily, most computer models are indicating this will crash into areas like Central America and not take that northern turn that we sometimes see during the month of even September or October. Also, a quick look at the rainfall over the next several days. Where are areas going to see rain? Well, the latest indication from the Weather Prediction Center is that areas in the Mississippi Valley, Ohio Valley, all the way back down through Florida will stay pretty much bone dry, even back out through the northwestern portions of the United States, staying dry, it looks like, over at least the next week. And then areas in between there could see some rainfall, and Ian's remnants will continue to bring rainfall for at least the next 24 to 48 hours across areas in southern New England and areas in the northern mid-Atlantic region. Make sure to subscribe button down below. Make sure to like the video. This forecast is brought to you by Platinum Contracting.